What you want won't happen overnight, but if you quit, it won't happen at all. This is a fire quote that I just read on my monitor, and it is so true. I can't even describe or begin to get into how many times I wanted to quit, but I didn't, or how many months that I showed up to the gym and I was barely able to push at all, or how many times I showed up on 4 hours of sleep, or how many times I was dehydrated or hungry or depressed or lonely or angry and I didn't want to show up, but I did anyways. Because the reality is that if you quit, you are erasing every bit of potential immediately. Because don't get me wrong, if you try, you might not achieve it. Like today, I went for 325 on bench. I failed it, and it sucks because just last week I hit 320, and I was like, I want to do this, and it barely moved, and I was like, what? But let me tell you what's going to happen. Next Monday, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to try again, and there's a chance that I'll hit it. But let me tell you what won't happen. If I don't show up, I'm not going to hit it. That's a guarantee. Your goals aren't going to happen overnight, and your goals aren't going to be this thing that you have in 1 second. And honestly, that's why a lot of people quit. That's why a lot of people never make it. Like, social media is kind of like an echo chamber. You look online, like at this video right now, you see me right here making this video, and you're like, oh my gosh. But the reality is that I'm no different from most of the people watching this video. The only difference is I picked up the camera and recorded. I'm no different than you. I have no better genetics than you. The reality is that I just went to the gym 6 days a week for 4 years. And that's why I have it. And what you need to realize is that you are just as capable. Most people are wired to this instant gratification mindset. How many hours do you scroll a day? Like you just want that instant dopamine hit. Like you just goon every day. You eat junk food every day. And these might sound like very basic cliche things to say, especially in self-improvement, but doing these things every single day is just instant gratification after instant gratification, and it's just giving you dopamine hit after dopamine hit. But the reality is that more gratifying things, like for example, me hitting 100 subscribers. I know, congratulations me, that's so many people. That's something that I did for the first time, and I got a delayed gratification spike of dopamine, like, oh my gosh, this is good, and it gave me the motivation to keep going. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't record these videos. I hit 315 a few weeks ago, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't show up to the gym every day. And I got an insane spike of dopamine, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And do you know how many friends I showed up with in the gym years ago, and we were talking and we dreamed of the same things? We dreamed of becoming jacked and benching 315 and being professional bodybuilders or power lifters or whatever it is. And do you know how many of them just don't even work out anymore or don't care? 95% of them. There's a few that stuck with it and are close by me, but most of them quit, or most of them stopped trying. And that's the truth, is that people think that success is some insane hard thing to achieve. Success doesn't have to be you have 1 million subscribers. Success doesn't have to be a huge follower number or views or $1 million in your bank account. Success can genuinely be you showing up every day. And the thing is that most people won't chase that version of a success because most people don't see that success. Most people don't see every single day that you show up. Most people don't see every single rep that you do. And that's why most people don't put in the reps. That's why most people don't try. But that's also why it's so important for you to try. I mean, potential is only the expression of a possibility. In other words, you won't know how good you might have been unless you try. That's a quote from Mike Menser. But it's so true, because you won't know how good you might have been unless you try. Everyone has potential. And the reality is that your potential is not locked. My potential isn't locked here. It's not locked here. It's not locked here. Same with yours. Your potential is as high as you believe it can be, if not higher. Right? So you have to be willing to show up every single day. Now, let me give you some practical steps to actually doing this. For example, quit social media. I have gone back and forth between scrolling and being on a little detox for years. But one of the things that really skyrocketed my progress, especially in my first 6 months of lifting, for example, and even just self-improvement, is deleting Instagram or TikTok or even YouTube. Because look at your screen time right now and come back to this video. If you just looked at your screen time and it is 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, you are wasting your life, and you're watching your life go by on a screen. You can't even remember the last 10 reels you watched. You can't, name 3 reels you watched yesterday. You probably can't even remember. And that is just such a testament to how much time you're actually wasting. The reason that you can't get over your instant gratification is because you keep feeding yourself instant gratification. You're not going to be able to stop being lustful if you keep scrolling. You're not going to be able to quit your alcohol addiction if you keep scrolling. And I like to give this as an example because scrolling is kind of at the center of a lot of things for a lot of people. It's just an instant gratification feedback loop that you're just constantly feeding yourself. And what that does is that it gets your brain used to instant gratification. So when your brain is used to getting dopamine hits every 5-10 seconds on your phone, guess what happens? Your brain starts looking for that in other places even when you're not on your phone, in terms of lust or smoking or drinking. Quitting that is genuinely a fundamental step in overcoming that instant gratification and delaying your gratification and becoming more disciplined and intentional with all of your actions, and it shapes your mindset. Another thing that I want you to really implant in your brain as just one last thing before I go: show up every single day. Because the reality is that I have not been able to give my 100% every day. A lot of the times I was only able to give 10% for months, years on end. But the reality is that the 10% that I was able to give that day was my 100%. Showing up every day is the most fundamental thing. There have been days where I've shown up to the gym and not even worked out. There was a 2-week, month-long period, even 2 months long, 3 years ago, when I was kind of just in my first year at the gym, where I showed up for a few months, and most days I didn't even really push myself, or I barely worked out at all. Or sometimes I would just go sit in the steam room or sauna and just meditate. And although I didn't make any physical progress from those months, the reality is that if I had never shown up on those days and even just done nothing, I never would have shown up the day and been able to push. I never would have kept going, and I would have quit. Yeah, you won't get it overnight, but if you don't try, it won't happen at all. So you got to keep pushing, and just remember that, please. Thanks for watching.